The Tea Party protest group called Tea Party Patriots, sponsored by Dick Armey, is planning to storm the Senate on Tuesday. And here's what it says on their website. I'm going to quote this. It says, "Thousands of us will meet in Washington, D.C. at the fountain in Upper Senate Park. The intention is to go inside the Senate offices and hallways. We're going to play out the role of patients waiting for treatment in government-controlled medical facilities. As the day goes on, some of us will pretend to die from our untreated illnesses and collapse on the floor. Many of us plan to stay there until they force us to leave." You guys, is this effective? Is it crossing the line? Amanda Terkel, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I think there's a lot of danger if the Republican Party wants to embrace the Tea Party so much. We saw that a lot of them rushed to speak at Michelle Bachmann's rally with a lot of Tea Party protesters there. But when a lot of the Tea Party protesters were carrying some controversial signs, including one's comparing Obama to Hitler and showing dead Holocaust victims and comparing healthcare to something the Nazis would do, is that something that the Republican Party is going to want to embrace, or then they suddenly going to back away and say, we don't want to have anything to do with that? So there's a lot of danger if the party tries to get too close to this movement.
Amanda Carpenter, what do you say about that?
Oh, I think the GOP needs to find a way to work with the Tea Party movement. And just to address one thing, we've all seen that Hitler poster. That is not a conservative thing. That's by a group named LaRouche. It says LaRouche right on the bottom of it. So, I mean, that should be dismissed from there. When you have mass protests like that, the fringe is always going to come out. But the Tea Party movement, they're mainstream fiscal conservatives, and that's what Jim DeMint is talking about. And GOP has to find a way to get back to that base. Rasmussen did a poll, in a three-party generic poll. Democrats took about 36%. Tea Party candidate came in second, and the GOP came in third. So unless they can come together on those fiscal issues, anti-spending, anti-bailout, the Republican Party's in trouble.
Amanda Carpenter, what is mainstream about believing that President Obama is not a United States citizen, or that his economic policies amount to socialism or fascism, or that there are death panels as part of health care? I mean, most people would not see
David,
the Tea Parties as mainstream.
I have some news for you. Jim DeMint, who's probably the most high-profile U.S. senator linked to the Tea Party movement, doesn't buy into any of this birther stuff, and neither do most of the Tea Party movement.
But he doesn't condemn it either.
Jim DeMint gave an interview with the Huffington Post, no less, Sam Stein, saying that this is a bunch of nonsense. He's a U.S. citizen, and if you want to, elevate people like Orly Tates and these fringe people who are not part of the Republican Party or really the Tea Party movement, I mean, you're making the mistake over and over again, because that's not what the Tea Party movement is about.
Here's the bigger issue. Let's when Gallup did a poll about Americans' identification, 9% say very conservative, 31% say conservative, so 40% of Americans say they're conservative, 35% say moderate, 21% say liberal, very liberal. Amanda Carpenter, I'm just not quite sure how it helps the Republican Party to be moving away from the center in the way that Senator DeMint wants the party to go.
But if you would see the Tea Party movement for what it is, and not what you're trying to make it out to be about birthers and this is about bringing the Republican Party back to fiscal common sense. They're anti-big spending, anti-bailout. And that captures people who aren't only Republicans, but a lot of those Ross Perot voters and independents either way. If you look at how Jim DeMint's polling among independents in his own state, the people who don't identify the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, he has a 60% favorability rating. That was hidden in the crosstabs of the last Rasmussen poll last week. And that's great news for him because he's the leader of it right now.
But
Amanda Terkel, do the Democrats want the Republican Party to embrace the Tea Party?
Well, I don't even know what the Tea Parties represent. I mean, all we see when they come out is there's a lot of anger, but what have they actually put forward in terms of ideas? I went to some of these Tea Parties and I heard people saying that they want to deport all immigrants, illegal immigrants. Some of them want to deport President Obama. We heard them railing against death panels, which didn't even exist. So I don't know what the Tea Parties really want. So if Republicans embrace them, these aren't new ideas. This is just more trying to block anything that's happening.
Well, Amanda Terkel, I mean, this is a movement that you can't really ignore, right? You've seen these protests. You've seen the thousands of people that have come out. So what do the Democrats do about it? Just say, just to try and discredit them?
Well, I think Democrats need to show it for what it is. Is this really a representative cross-section of the American public, as a lot of the Tea Parties have said that they are, or is this more of a right-wing fringe? I mean, the Tea Parties try to present themselves as not being conservative, Democratic or Republican, which Jim DeMint has said. And now if the Republicans try to co-opt the movement, you're taking away one of the movement's strongest talking points, is that they're not identified with any party.
There was a key fiscal issue that occurred on the House floor today, and that was the House voted to essentially pass these new regulations, have new oversight on Wall Street financial firms to try to get at some of the risk-taking, some of the casino-like behavior, the greed that helped fuel the financial crisis a year ago. And yet Amanda Carpenter, not a single Republican voted for it. Is that smart politics?
Well, you know, if they don't agree with that form of regulatory reform, then why should they vote up for it? And of course, they're going to come back and say they're the Republicans' party of no. But I'm here to tell you, there's honor in saying no to bad policy, and that's what this movement is all about.
You need to propose an alternative policy.
Well,
in
you
the
know
House
what,
Republicans
David,
did not.
where I've been very happy to see bipartisan cooperation has been on this dissatisfaction with Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke. There's a broad spread agreement that they should move forward in this audit the Fed bill, although that's been gutted by some Democratic Congress people. So let's look at where they are working together, and I think there's widespread agreement on that, and quite frankly, I can't understand why there's not more movement on that to pass that audit the Fed bill.
And Amanda Terkel, opportunity for the Democrats to paint the Republicans as being in bed with Wall Street and the banks and the financial institutions and the same old behaviors of the past.
I mean, I think that will definitely happen. I mean, here's the thing. Republicans have tried to work together when they're in agreement, but they haven't tried to compromise at all. We've even seen a lot of liberal Democrats have had to compromise, give up the public option that they really wanted, but Republicans haven't been willing as much to give back a little compromise and come together on a bill. Instead, they've largely tried to just vote no.
All right, thank you so much, Amanda Terkel and Amanda Carpenter. Thanks for being with us this afternoon.